Welcome to this week's astrology report. I am Jody Shirabi at astropod_cast. This is the weekly report for April 4th through April 11th. Next Friday.
So, welcome back to this weekly astrology report. So, today is really the beginning of a very controversial week coming up. This is the quiet period of April. As soon as we hit April 16th and on, things are going to get very tense. And today, Friday, April 4th, is a very good indicator of things happening the rest of the month and into May. So today we already see the stock market is in its second or third this entire week of its downfall. So let's talk about what's happening. Mercury is going to station direct on the 7th at 26 degrees of Pisces. And the astrologers are calling this a moment of quiet. Nothing is happening. No wind is blowing. It is that time after the bomb drops. And now you're looking to see what happens. And the North Node at 27 degrees of Pisces is also going to be activated here and receive messages from Mercury, as Mercury also will be meeting up with this North Node. And again, the North Node is destiny, is fate. So Mercury is getting ready to go meet up the North Node again and speak again about fate, what's happening in the world. So it is a Neptunian time. So you got to trust your intuition. This is the time when you trust the invisible, because Neptune rules over what you can't see, the deep, deep ocean. Same as Pluto. Pluto rules what's under the earth. Thus earthquakes have been happening in volcanoes. So really pay attention to your intuition, not what you see, not the facade of the mundane world, but the intuitiveness of your intuition. And then Venus is going to conjunct Saturn at 25 degrees of Pisces. Mercury and Venus will be meeting up again with these major outer planets of our time. This is the state of our time. This is the reality of our time. Our intuition, a lot of times, is represented by the third eye. And the third eye is the part in your brain that has been spoken about for many, many thousands of years as the place where you can see the future, see what's going on, see what your intuition is telling you. So these energies, all these things we're talking about, is going to have a sextile with Uranus at 25 degrees of Taurus. And that's where the earthquakes have been occurring, the volcanoes shaking up the status quo, according to Molly McCord. So these are deep, 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 deep awakenings from our soul, from our unconsciousness, coming up into our consciousness. This is called a Pisces year in terms of Neptune stepping into Aries at 0 degrees, initiating what Pisces rules over, which is our dreams, the unknown, and making it real by entering Aries. So Mars will start ruling over Neptune this year as it sneaks a peek into Aries. And Saturn meeting up also with these planets in another sextile, forming a kite, almost a triangle, long triangle formation. So use the Taurus energy, which is Venus, who's in Pisces, being ruled by Neptune. Use this energy to really hone in on what the messaging is and really what it is for yourself. And try to not look at the mundane world's facade. Look at what actually is happening. Listen to what people say. They're telling you. And then the Libra full moon moves in next Saturday. And this is where we're going to see people for who they truly are. Because Libra, like Aries, is finishing out its nodal axis, because now it's in Pisces and Aries. And Libra's going to show us one last time the reality of who these people are that we idolize, who we think are so here to save us as a savior. And we're going to take off these rose-colored glasses. Well, mine aren't rose-colored. They're golden-colored. I have on golden-colored glasses. So we're going to be removing that starting next Saturday. Things will be lit up with the full moon in Libra, shining a light on Neptune in Aries as Neptune begins to dissolve and expose certain things, because Mars will be ruling over this Neptune visit to Aries. So I feel that this week, after looking at all the information, studying everything, and studying the mundane world while listening to personal stories, I think that on a mundane level, we see what we could be feeling inside. How do we explain what's happening, right? Because we're all going through this at the same time. No matter where your planetary birth chart shows that you're at, we're all being affected, because every planet, every personal planet, every outer planet, all the comets, Chiron's activated, Aries, sister to Mars, is activated, and she's a rebel, and she's in Aries at 22 degrees. And Mars is moving forward in Cancer, and Mars is again our energy, our outward expression of what we're feeling inside from our intuition, what our intentions are, what is pushing us forward. And Mars is going to be preparing to leave Cancer at the end of April and head into Leo by June. So it's a really big deal, because all the things are being activated between Neptune and Aries. Pisces ruled by Neptune, so Neptune happens to be right there in the thick of things. Neptune's going in between now. It just is visiting Aries for a while, and then it's going to go back again at the end of the year into Pisces and permanently come back into Aries by next, I believe, February or June. Get confused with all these outer planets a lot of times moving around. But really the most important thing we have to know is that Neptune is the initiator, is the planet that brings about all these changes, because our dreams are now becoming activated with our leadership abilities in Aries. Because again, this is where the sun is exalted, is in Aries. The sun is Leo. So as the sun is begins to move into Taurus, which is the 10th house of Leo, the sun begins to move into Taurus on April 19th. Mars will also be getting ready to move into Leo. So we are going back between Cancer and Leo with Mars, and this is again the mother and the father, and then the self. The realization of the self as we head into Virgo. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we become a working entity that can take care of ourselves through whatever means we're supposed to do that in this age, right? So this week, my suggestion again is to remain calm. Mars is going to bring a lot of heat, and mundane wise, this is the beginning of usually a huge conflict on Earth. When Mars comes out of retrograde period like it does now from Cancer into Leo, in the past, historically, a lot of tension, a lot of explosive energy comes out, and we could be heading into what a lot of astrologers are saying, martial law. Because as more people protest, as more people say things, and you saw that in Wisconsin, MAGA lost their big push to win the Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin. So people are already pushing back, and next year's next election for the House and the Senate. And MAGA can't really afford to lose the House majority or the Senate majority because, as you can see, the Supreme Court is not siding with MAGA like they would have hoped. So with all this protesting, all these little things that may not support what this current administration is doing, they could pull out the Trump card of martial law, where now people are becoming unemployed, prices are skyrocketing, and all this is to help the rich get richer. And that's hard to explain. Besides, when stock prices fall, it's a good time to buy up everything that's cheap, including real estate, stocks, businesses that are going to go bankrupt. So this is when the power grab comes in, and this is how the rich, deep rich people that you don't even know about, this is how they continue to obtain their wealth and keep it going, is through these manipulative things to the common people, because they have so much money into something that they can move the market. I worked in the market, the commodities market, for a couple of years in compliance, and as a trader helper, helping trade. And I've learned a couple of things about how the mechanism of the stock market and all that work, S&P 500, the NASDAQ. So these are things that we're watching for, and the middle class people with their 401ks are really going to be affected also. So really find your home, your anchor. Find your anchor and anchor yourself there. Just as the weather is showing you, you're going to have to weather a lot of things the next couple of decades. You're going to have to weather, politics, individual, relationships and jobs. So these are all things that we have to deal with daily. So try not to focus so much on the mundane world, unless of course you are in finances and you have a company, and obviously you should. But if you can, try to just maintain your focus on what it is you want to achieve and what it is you're trying to do for your life and your people. Because right now you get confused, you can do things, and later on it just comes back to where it was foggy. You didn't really see what was happening. So really wait until May, you'll be able to see things more clearly. And then by June, a lot of the outer planets are going to shift again, and we're going to have another big event probably around July 4th. And then again in September, we're going to have another big thing happening as eclipse season begins in the fall. And hurricane predictions have come out. And last year we had a hurricane that was 100 years in the making. So hopefully that dies down in the Gulf of Mexico. But the Atlantic is now heating up. And as we can see, there's already severe storms since the beginning of the year. There really hasn't been a lull. Even in Florida, there's been some forest fires and flooding. If it rains at all in certain areas right now, just floods. So really keep your wits about you, and I appreciate you. Please subscribe, like, and you can find me anywhere at Jody Boots. We type that in, my stuff will come up. And I really appreciate you, and thank you to all my spiritual children. Again, thank you so much. I will talk to you next week, and hopefully next week we'll be able to see a little bit clearer with Mercury and Venus getting ready to enter back into Aries. Okay, thank you, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye. Mwah. I appreciate you a lot.